What starts as manipulation next week in Coronation Street could end up pushing everything into far more dangerous territory, because Carl Webster is not trying to protect anyone here. He is clearly trying to use Theo Silverton's volatility for his own advantage. Carl has never been the type to act out of loyalty or principle, and this situation feels no different. His main concern is himself, and every move he makes seems driven by what he can gain. After telling Summer Spellman that he wants £10,000 from Billy's life insurance money in exchange for proof that Theo killed him back in January, Carl makes it clear that he is not interested in justice. He is interested in leverage. The fact that he already knows Theo would never openly confess makes his next decision even more disturbing, because instead of backing off, he chooses to push harder. After seeing Theo square up to Gary Windass, Carl spots an opportunity. He realizes Theo is already emotionally unstable and close to losing control, so he starts trying to provoke him in the hope that Theo will lash out and get arrested for assault. That says a lot about Carl's mindset. He is not trying to solve the situation in any honest way. He is trying to engineer a reaction, almost like he believes he can stand at a safe distance while Theo self-destructs on command. But Theo is just as important to read in all of this. Everything about his behavior suggests a man whose anger is sitting right on the surface. When he later bursts into the pub and Eva Price confirms that he is barred, it only adds to the sense that Theo is becoming increasingly isolated and combustible. He storms out, Carl follows, and on the street Carl keeps winding him up, hoping to trigger a fight. It is a reckless game to play with someone already this volatile, and it looks as though Carl may pay for it very quickly. The next day, Debbie Webster gets a phone call telling her that Carl is in hospital, and that immediately raises the obvious question: was Theo responsible? The show is clearly building that mystery on purpose, because it places Theo in the exact kind of situation where everyone will be ready to believe the worst about him. Later in the week, Summer also has a run-in with Theo, and the fact that she ends up opening her heart to George Shuttleworth about the awful things Theo said shows just how far his behavior is spreading. At that point, Theo is no longer just a problem for one person. He is becoming a threat hanging over multiple lives. George then corners Theo and warns that he will not be responsible for his actions if Theo goes near Todd and Summer again, which only adds even more tension to an already explosive situation. Psychologically, Theo now feels like a man trapped between rage, humiliation, and loss of control. The more he is challenged, the worse he seems to respond, and that makes him incredibly dangerous not only to others, but also to himself. Carl, on the other hand, comes across as someone arrogant enough to believe he can manipulate that rage without consequences. That is often where characters like him make their biggest mistake. He keeps treating Theo like a weapon he can point in the right direction, but a weapon like that rarely stays under anyone's control. All of this also lays the groundwork for the upcoming murder storyline, and it is not hard to see why Theo is one of the 5 possible victims. After everything Todd has been put through, there are clearly going to be several people with reasons to want Theo gone. That makes him an obvious target. At the same time, the show may be setting him up so heavily that there is room to wonder whether this is meant to distract from someone else's fate. Still, with Carl ending up in hospital, Summer being deeply shaken, and George openly threatening Theo, the pressure around him is building at a dangerous speed. If Betsy Swain really does discover a dead body, Theo feels like one of the most likely names at the center of it all, either because his own behavior finally catches up with him, or because he pushes one person too far. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more Coronation Street updates, spoilers, and character analysis.